Well, we are a quarter away through the season after 3 games. Obviously, last 2 have been very, very disappointing. Went into some big environments to try to win a game, didn't go our way. And you look at FAU and what they've gotten done. I think they're 2-2. One of those losses was from us in Central Florida. Penn State and Iowa State are undefeated. Now we're facing a nationally ranked, undefeated team in Fordham, which I'll talk about more here in this presser. But a couple things that stand out. We've got to find a way to start faster. All three games at this point, it's been second quarter until we get going. We've got to get resolved. Is it opponent? Is it us? Those are things staff-wise we've got to get corrected. The 4 turnovers in this last game were, as I mentioned after the game, I'm disappointed. We can't have that. You're not going to win any games with 4 turnovers. I can explain to you in great detail each one of them, what happened and all that. I'm not going to go there. But the first 2 games, pretty clean, as far as the turnover battle goes. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I think I don't think. I feel very good. Our defense got better against Iowa State. I believe that. They were put under some extreme tough situations. As I said, the turnovers, 3 of the 4 were inside our own 20. And then you got 2 back-to-back shank punts. They had a short field. You can count that as 2 more turnovers right there. All right, and our defense, they never wavered. They hung in there. A positive from these first 3 games and the very physical games, this team has never, they battle. They freaking fight. I thought it was very, very evident. The win went out of ourselves a little bit in the second quarter against Iowa State. We come in to win the game, and the turnovers took some of our energy. But we got to find a way as a staff and as a program to create our own energy. And I thought we got some things. We made some strides in that in the third quarter, coming out of halftime. I really do. So there's some positive, there's some negative, and where we are in the first 3 moving forward. Now, I said this after the game. The football team is very excited to get back and play in front of the best fans in our conference. Our fans have always come out and supported us, and we are super excited to be in front of them. With a great challenge in Fordham, as I mentioned, undefeated, nationally ranked. They've got on defense 7 seniors, 3 juniors, and a sophomore will linebacker that was a first team or as an All-American freshman last year and was Player of the Year as a freshman as well. So they got a very veteran group on both sides, which I'll talk about. Offensively, they've got 9 seniors, 1 junior, and a freshman tight end that's backed up by a senior tight end. All right, so from a ball club that's got experience, they've got it. Their quarterback, everything goes through them. He's a draft pick guy. They spread you out and let him go to work. So we're going to be tested in the back end. It's going to be a huge day for our guys, our front 4 guys, to harass him, make him move, make him uncomfortable. He's got some nice weapons on offense. And then defensively, tough, hard-nosed. They are very aggressive, particularly at the corner spots. The linebacking crew, I mentioned the 1 freshman, the will linebacker, number 47. I don't want to pronounce his name the wrong way. I just know number 47. He's everywhere. I think Nebraska game last year, over 30 tackles. Florida Atlantic game last year, mid-20s. He's a physical guy and does a lot of good things. So there's going to be some great matchups. I'm just glad we're at home, and our team's excited about getting and playing in front of our fans.
Okay. Opening up for questions, please introduce yourself ahead of time.
Eric Decker with the Athens Messenger. You just mentioned, Coach, you're going up against a talented team. What's kind of the message to sort of get your team up? Because it's really easy to get up for the last 2 opponents, but how do you keep them ready so you avoid a sort of letdown here?
I say this about every week I think in the media. I mentioned it at some point in time, but we are a one game in a time outfit, and I've held the team to that. We want to play our best ball this week, and we've got to focus on fixing the things that Iowa State had nothing to do with. all right, and the turnovers, and there's others, fielding the ball, fielding the punt. We don't field the punt inside our 8-yard line. We don't do that. Iowa State had zero to do with that. Those types of things we've got to fix. But as far as getting up and getting them ready to play, we'll have no problem with this crew.
Yep. Aiden Crowley, WAB. You mentioned the turnovers.
First name?
Aiden.
Aiden. Okay.
You mentioned the turnovers work, 2 interceptions, but I also felt like he made some of his best throws of the season against Iowa State in some tight gaps. How would you evaluate his performance overall?
And you're talking about Curtis?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, for the second straight week, I liked his pocket presence. All right. I thought maybe he could have taken off and run a couple times. He's able to do that in the first 2 games. We missed that opportunity maybe a time or two in the game, but not to the point where we're disappointed. On the throws, there were some really good balls. The ball to our sideline, rolling to his left on Jacoby in the second half was phenomenal. Really good catch, but a phenomenal throw. And Iowa State going in, one of the big things for the quarterback room was handling drop 8. Okay, and they got us on the pick, on the 4th down and 2. It's a great play by the linebacker. But I thought he made some good decisions and some good throws into some tight windows when they're dropping 8. So it wasn't his best game, but he's facing a very good defense. I mean, you ask the coaching staff at Iowa how good their defense is. And so I still think we're on schedule. And for us to get done what we want to get done, Curtis needs to keep coming at that position and keep leading this football team.
Maria Vanessa, WOUB. Offensively, you guys have kind of struggled to run the ball. Moving into this week, obviously you've gone up against tough defenses. How do you plan to utilize and improve that more this week?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Even in the first game, the yardage was good, but we got to find a way to get more production yards in the running game. Even the first game. The last 2 has been very tough with Penn State and Iowa State. But even the FAU game, the things that we've gotten done here over the years, everything goes through the running game. And we've got to find more production now. We're beat up a little bit at running back. That's got a little bit to do with it. Okay? The score has got a little bit to do with it. We find ourselves behind, and all 3 games in the first quarter, which I mentioned earlier, but particularly these last 2, it's in the 20s. We're down 18 in the first half or at halftime. And that's got something to do with the play calling in the second half, trying to get back in the game. So a combination of those things, and then I think Kurt Daniker is going to get back this week. First time he's played for us since the first series of Syracuse last year. He's worked his tail off with rehab. He's been practicing with the offense a little bit during practice the last couple of weeks. I was on the scout team last week. And we look for him to get some reps. That will give us some strength in the O-line at the guard position. He won't play the whole game, but he's going to get some reps. So I'm hoping getting him back, getting the starting 5 in there, and getting in a flow, getting Curtis going, play action stuff, and it'll help us in getting the numbers that you referenced.
Having him back, what does that do for the confidence of Rourke and also yourself to have a guy like that you can plug back in?
Kurt's a very experienced player, and there are times where he's a dominant, particularly in the run game. He and Hagan have played side by side, with Parker or Nick Sink last year, and so those guys are the strength of the offensive line, and you get a solid quarterback that's right up the middle, and so it's a good combination. But I feel like that, whether Kurt's in there or Bryce. We've got to continue to move the ball on the ground.
Coach, you've talked a lot about Fordham's strong matchup, and you've talked a lot about our older guys. Can you touch on some of the younger guys who have been getting some reps?
Yeah, I mentioned this after the game. The last couple games, we've got to play a lot of people. I think that's going to be huge in developing depth as we start this stretch with Fordham and then getting into league play. So it's a long season. There's going to be times where we're going to get banged up. we've got, again, 3 physical ball games with this game coming up. We got some bumps and bruises. We're going to have to be smart how we practice with some people. But that's football. Everybody's got them. Okay, so some guys that have come in and done a good job. Just to mention a few names, Torrey Cox has played well these last 2 games. I'm very excited. He's a redshirt freshman, showing a lot of good things. Justin Burchett's done a good job of being a mentor to Torrey. Justin's older. He's got a lot of game experience. These last 2 weeks have been big stage for Torrey, and I appreciate Justin and his leadership for Torrey and Coach Smith and what they've gotten done. I'm excited about Rayon Buell, mid-year D lineman. He played the most snaps in the D line against Iowa State. I think almost 40 snaps, and he's had a nice game against Iowa State. Tariq Drake, solid at the safety position. He's got to keep doing that. I want to get Tariq out of the game. He's playing 65 snaps a game. He's not going to be able to hold up and do that for the entire year. So we got to, and that's one of the reasons why we put Zach Sanders at safety to spell Tariq a little bit, to keep him fresh. And offensively, CA is a guy that I talked to. Nolan, after he was a workhorse in the second half against Iowa State. You're going to see more of him this week at the running back position. I mentioned with Russ on the radio show last week, Jake Netherton has joined the team. He's a graduate. He's in PT school here as a grad student. He's a Bobcat through and through, and he come to see me. We got together about helping the depth at running back. He's probably 10 days in as far as practice. We'll see if he's game ready for this Saturday, but he is on the roster, and hopefully he'll be able to give us some reps at running back as well.
You mentioned how excited you guys are just to get back in front of the fans, but for the players' side, how beneficial is it to kind of, after the last 2 weeks, get the rest and the preparation?
Yeah, you're at home. You know the routine. I think you're not in a hotel. You're not on a bus or a plane, and you just get better rest. So and again, the excitement of playing in front of your friends and family, our student section, get those guys rocking. The weather's supposed to be beautiful. I believe it's Parents' Day, Parents' Weekend. I'm not sure. Okay. So maybe not, but either way, if it is, great. If it's not, that's okay. It's going to be sold out and it'll be loud, and our guys are looking forward to that.
Coach, you mentioned Cox and Drake, but it's still been a little bit of a struggle in the secondary, I believe, in chunk yardage and
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
What improvements need to be made in the secondary, especially against Fordham, who likes to air it out?
Sure, yeah. I think eventually we're going to have to just not have as many guys in the box and see if we can put 6 in there and play two safeties back there and hold up in the run game. I mean, it can be as simple as that. All right. If you got 8, 9 guys in the box, well, guess what? Someone's out there on the island the whole time. So I think just mixing up some fronts, how many guys are in there, and that's where you get in. That's where Fordham's quarterback goes to work. They spread you out, big splits, and try to make that guy, that tweener guy, make decisions on is he in the fit or is he not. There'll be some chess match things like that. That's why I'll repeat what I said earlier. Our down 4 and making him feel uncomfortable. But to alleviate some of the big plays, from the positive, Penn State popped a couple of runs. We didn't get him down. In the third quarter opening drive, they popped one. We tackled him, missed a field goal. Last week, they popped one. Justin Burchett got him down. Next play, they fumbled. We challenged them. Hey, layers to our defense. All right, he gets to the third level. We've got to get him down. That Penn State guy got by us twice. He's a good back. You can ask Auburn. All right, but this week they popped that one run in the second quarter. We tackled him. They turned it over. So we're not finished product. I just know we got better on defense, but we're not where we want to be as a unit or as a team. Yes, sir.
Coach, you talked about being a little bit bumped and bruised and a little bit banged, but through 3 really physical games, You guys have maintained a pretty good health. Talk about how important that is going into this Fordham game and going into MAC play. It's
huge. I'll just I'll compare the first 3 last year to the first 3 this year. It's night and day. You know, can you say training and Jake Miller? You bet, I'm in. You know, Miss Cromer, we were able to buy some the GPS units that the kids wear. We got 30 units. Jake Miller's got unbelievable information on our guys, heart rate, reps, distance, collisions. You know, Tariq Drake against Penn State had 21. The GPS unit read 21 car collisions. 21. A car hitting a wall 10 miles an hour. That's the data. He had 21 of them. That was Penn State. The data's not all in for against Iowa State. So that's a great question because they have been physical games. But it's football. It's a physical. It's a man's game played by men. I mean, guys running full speed and laying it on the line for their team. But we are battered and bruised. But I think any team right now, 3 games is probably going to be like that. You're right. I mean, and so our depth is better than it was a year ago. So it doesn't we don't have some of the gaping holes, you know, just deficiencies out on the field because our depth's better. That's where playing the amount of guys that we had the last 2 weeks, I think will benefit us as we move forward and we start league play once we get done with Fordham.
To follow that, was there anything that you took on injury-wise, Iowa State, that is long-term in any regard?
Long term, no. Just but we are Sundays.
So nothing in addition.
Yeah, nothing. Like last year. I mean, hey, Nick Stink. He's at Kurt Aneker. Long snapper. I mean, there's a list. You just knew before you didn't have to ask any question. You knew they were out for the year, and Rodney went down on the extra point field goal. And I was. Yeah, it was. But he's gonna be fine. So nothing like last year, but our depth's better, and it's gonna be a huge momentum for us moving forward into league play.